There you go. So our learning target, what I said before, our learning target, we can work out problems that involve tips, tax, discounts, and other sorts of percentage problems, so like commissions and markups. Our primary focus here, though, is going to be on things like sales tax, tips, and the discounts. That's our primary focus. But there are other areas that we can work on for it, too. With sales tax is something that you are not going to ever be able to avoid, okay? You always have to pay sales tax when you go shopping for items. You want to go and buy a new book, a game, clothes, even certain foods are going to have sales tax on it. Now, what I mean by certain foods, there are times when you can go grocery shopping and not have to pay tax on the groceries that you buy. So, I went grocery shopping this weekend. I went ahead and saved my receipt. And here, I know, it's a long receipt. I'm a family of 4, and my kids like to eat. So here, if you look, what I want you to notice, don't focus on the size, but focus on what it says right next to it. It says TF. TF means tax-free. What this means are these are items that we are purchasing that do not get taxed on. You don't pay taxes for it, and it's typically things that are of necessity. So if I'm buying candy, I'm going to pay taxes on it because candy is not a necessity. You might think it is, but it's not. If I'm buying Takis, that's not a necessity. I do have to pay taxes on that. But if I'm buying fruits and vegetables, bread, eggs, milk, those things are considered necessity for living, and therefore they are tax-free. You do not pay the tax on it that you would pay for other items. So you need to have an understanding, because a lot of times people think if I don't have enough money, I can't buy good food. When in reality, the good food, the healthier food, is actually going to be cheaper for you because you're not paying taxes on it. When you buy the processed stuff, the pre-made things, especially items that, like you can buy restaurant pre-made food at grocery stores. Like if you go to the frozen section, you know, I think like TGI Fridays or Chili's or those like stores, those restaurants, they make their appetizers and sell them at the grocery store. They're pre-made and they're frozen. You just have to reheat them. You pay taxes on those because the grocery store is selling you something that is technically from the restaurant. Panera sells their soups at the grocery store. Chick-fil-A sells their Chick-fil-A sauce at the grocery stores. So you would be paying taxes on those items because they are coming from another store technically. Tip. So tips is a very good way to be able to earn an income if you are working at a good place. So notice I'm not saying restaurant. Tips is not the only place that you, or restaurants are not the only place that you would get a tip, although that a lot of people think that's the only place that you would tip. Can anybody think of someplace else that you provide a tip that's not a restaurant? What do you think, Amaya? Well, that's still kind of like a restaurant, right? So don't think of foods. Think away from food stuff. Think of other services, other places that you might tip. Huh? A barbershop. Very good. Hairdressers, going to get your hair done. When they cut your hair, color your hair, do whatever they're going to do, you tip them at the end. Girls that like to go get their nails done, you tip your nail salon. Okay, you tip your nail tech. That is a way of showing them service. Some things that people don't think of, but is actually a good I would say it's a good technique to stick with. My parents, they live in a community where their trash, what is acceptable in the trash to be thrown away, it's very, very strict. But when my parents have to throw something away that's not technically allowed to be picked up by the trash, they never have a problem with it, ever. But their next door neighbors, if they try to throw the same thing away, so like paint. My parents, when they bought their home and, you know, they just repainted their home, they're trying to get rid of the excess paint. trash people came and take it. They'll take it up. But when their neighbors tried to do it a few weeks before that, they wouldn't take the neighbor's paint. Reason being, my parents tip their garbage man and their mailman every year around the holidays. And those people remember who tips them and who doesn't. So a lot of times when you have a service like your mail service, your garbage service, those are services that you don't have to do. If you did not have a garbage collection service come to your home, you would have to take your garbage every single week to a dump site.
That would suck if you don't have a truck.
Yeah, and that would suck if you don't have a truck. Exactly. That would be very smelly. You don't want to have to do that. It is not a very good way to dispose of your trash. So having a service that comes in and disposes of it for you, that is a service that they are providing. It is customary to provide a tip. And a lot of times when you do that, they go out of their way to help you. Okay, same thing, we have a lawn service company that comes through. We always tip our lawn service people at like right around the holidays, and we never have a problem with them going and being like, hey, this stuff that's building up in the back, all these leaves and these branches that have fallen down, that's not part of their job, but they clear it for us every single time without us asking. It's not part of their job. All they're supposed to do is mow and trim our edge, and that's it. But they'll go through, they'll trim all our bushes, they'll haul off branches, anything that's big that we would normally have to do ourselves, they do it because we tip them all the time. So when you do those kinds of small little things, it builds up and people are more likely to do something better for you. Okay? Now, commission, like I told you before, commission is when you work somewhere, you earn a living wage, but you also get an extra incentive for selling something. So when you go to a car dealership, car salesmen, they make a commission off of the amount that they sell for the car. A markup is when you are a small business owner and you are you are selling your item at a bigger store. So let's say that I make wreaths for the holidays and I'm going to sell them at Target. So I'm going to have my small little business and I'm going to ask Target to go ahead and give me a little shelf on their store. Target is going to buy those items from me, but then they're going to mark the price up so that they can make a profit for themselves. Okay?
You go to the direct company and buy it from them.
It would be cheaper. But some of these direct companies don't have actual storefronts. So that's the thing. They're just a warehouse. So a lot of times it's hard to be able to buy those items directly from the manufacturer. So, and in fact, there's a lot of items that you can only buy in bulk. So like Costco can buy certain supplies in bulk that you can't buy from them. You can't go and buy paper plates from the paper plate making companies, but you can buy them from Costco. You can buy them from Target. So they're paying for those items to come to their store, and then they're increasing the price so that they can get a profit off of it from you. Okay, because they then have to give some of that money back to the people that they bought it from, and then they keep the profit that's left over. Okay, now a discount is a great way to shop. A lot of things that go on sale. In fact, we have a rule in our house that if it's not on sale for clothes, we don't buy it. And a lot of times because groceries are getting so expensive, we start planning our meals around what foods, what vegetables and what fruits and what meats are on sale that week so that we're at least buying it at a discounted price and not having to spend so much. So again, my receipt, underneath a lot of them, you'll see a price and then minus a price and a price and minus a price. What it's doing, that minus the price, is they're taking off the discount. So they're removing a certain portion of the price from the total because I'm getting a discount on something because I bought it on sale. Okay, so these are all ideas of how percentages work in your everyday lives. Now, to solve our percentages, we have to have an understanding of what stuff we'll add on and what stuff actually gets taken away. So here, these items, sales tax, tips, and markups Those are things. Notice I'm not highlighting commission. Commission is its own separate item. But these 3 items are known to increase a price. Those 3 items are going to increase the amount of money that you spend. So we buy something, then we add sales tax onto our cost. We go to a restaurant, we add the tip onto our cost. If we go to a store and we want to buy an item, when it's marked up, that markup gets added onto the cost so that you now know what to pay. These are 3 items that will increase the cost to you, the consumer. The discount is the only thing that will decrease the price to you. This will decrease your cost. So when you have something that's on sale, you take a percentage away from the cost, and then that's what you pay. So those are important things to make sure you understand what adds the prices on and what decreases the prices from you. Now, when we're working problems out like these, you can use your percent proportion to solve. So I'm going to put that down. You're going to solve with the percent proportion. But in this case, our percent proportion, so we always know that we're always going to do a percent over 100. That's a given, an understanding. But the part in this situation will equal the money amount for a tip or a tax or a discount, things like that. The part in this situation is going to represent how much money is your tip, how much money is your tax, how much money is the discount when we're talking about the part. The whole, so remember we always have part over whole. The whole is going to represent what we call the subtotal. And my pink is running out. Give me a second. All right, so my whole is going to represent the money amount that is your subtotal. So we call it a subtotal because it means that you are combining all the items that you purchase. So when I go grocery shopping, I combine all the costs of each grocery item that I bought before I calculate the tax on the items. Okay, so it adds everything together and it gives me what we call a subtotal. Then it calculates the tax and it adds the tax onto the subtotal to equal your final total. So that's important to understand that if we're talking about a tax or a tip or a markup, you would find your percent proportion and then you would take whatever you found for your part and add it onto your subtotal to find out your final cost. Your final cost would be you adding that onto your subtotal. If it was a discount, you would subtract it from your subtotal to get your final cost. Okay? So we're going to work through a couple of those problems on how to find the tax or the tip or the discount of an item. And then some of the items are just wanting to know, hey, what is the part going to equal? What is the tax that you're paying? What is the tip that you're paying? What was the discount off of the ball? Some of the questions are going to ask for a final cost. So you have to know when to stop or when to keep going. When do you add on or when do you subtract? Question number 1 says a soccer ball costs $30 and tax is 6%. We want to know what is the taxed amount. So again, when we're setting these things up, we're setting them up as part over whole equals percent over 100. So I need to identify several parts or several conditions. The part in this situation is going to be the X. Now that part is going to represent the money amount for tax. We know the percentage amount for tax, but we don't know the money amount for our tax or tips or discounts, whatever that would be. In this situation, it's the tax. So I'm going to put down that this is money for tax. I do not know this portion. That is my unknown. For the whole, that's going to be my subtotal. So the cost that I do currently see, which happens to be the $30. My percent is the only percentage I see in the problem, which is that tax is 6%. So then I just go ahead and input this information into my percent proportion. So I'm going to do X over 30 equals 6 over 100. All right, once we have this set up, we can then do our cross product. Remember, we multiply our diagonals and then solve by using division to get the variable by itself. So I know that I'm going to have x times 100. X times 100 is 100x. I'm going to have 30 times the 6, and 30 times the 6 is equal to 180. And then from there, I would just divide both sides by that 100. And I'm going to get that x is equal to $1.80. Turn around. X is going to be equal to $1.80. This represents the tax. This represents the amount of tax that we're paying. So notice what the question's asking. The question is just wanting to know what is the taxed amount. So my taxed amount is $1.80. Now, if you take a look at the second question is asking for the total cost. So what do we do to find the total cost? Very good. Thank you, Marshall. To find the total cost, we're going to take that tax that we found and add it on to our subtotal, our initial cost. So we're going to take our initial value of $30 and we're going to add it with the taxed dollar amount. So we're going to add it with the $1.80. Yes, dear? Isn't that what we just did? We did 6 times 30, which is 180, and we divided it by 100. So sometimes what we've seen in the past with questions is they've asked us, what is the equation that could represent the situation? And you would have to know that the equation would be 100x is equal to 180, based off of how you would have set up your proportion. Okay? So that's why I show you in an equation format, because we've seen questions formatted that way. Okay? Yeah. Yes. Okay? So when we add these together, that's going to equal our total cost. So our total cost in this situation is $31.80. $31.80. So you need to be able to tell the difference between, is it wanting just the tax? Is it wanting the total cost? Is it wanting to know just how much you would take off for a discount? Or is it wanting to know what's the final price? Those are questions you need to be able to understand from what they're asking. So let's take a look at problem 3. A hoverboard costs $280, but Amazon has it on sale for 35% off. I want to know, how much is Amazon selling it for? So the question is asking how much Amazon is selling it for. So do they want to know the final cost, or do they want to know how much money we're taking off? Isaiah? Final cost. If Amazon is selling it, they're selling it at a final cost. So you have to find the discount and then subtract the discount away. So let's start with that. We're going to find our part over our whole. In this situation, the part is now going to be your money amount for your discount. We don't know how much money the discount is worth. We only know that the discount is 35%. We need to know what does that equate to in dollars. We know that the whole number, or not the whole value is considered to be the original cost, which was $280. And we know that our percent is 35% off. So we're going to set up our proportion. We're going to do X over 280 equals 35 over 100. We would then go ahead and do our cross product. So we would multiply 280 times 35. We would multiply X times 100 to create our equation, which is 100X is equal to 9,800. We would then solve by dividing by 100. And we would get that X is going to represent $98. And that's the discount. That's $98 off. But again, the question is asking, how much is Amazon selling it for? Are they selling it for $98? No. They are selling it for $98 off. How do we figure out how much they're selling it for? Adonai?
Subtract 98 from 280.
Very good. We're now going to find out what the discounted price is. Or the new price. So the new cost is going to be for us to take the initial price of 280 and we're going to subtract the $98. And how much are they selling it for? Not 272. 280 minus 98. So it's almost like we're subtracting 100 from it, right? Almost like we're subtracting 100, but just $2 less than that.
Oh, 200.
So it would be 182. 182. So they're going to sell it for $182. Okay? You have to take your time reading through each question and identifying what do they want to know. Do they want to know just the tax? Do they want to know the discount? Do they want to know the final cost? That sort of thing. Okay? Go ahead and try problems 4 and 5 on your own. Make sure you read each question carefully. So let's take a look. For problem number 4, it says Kevin is selling t-shirts he made. It cost him $18 to make a shirt, and he wants to mark up the shirt by 55%. So $18 for him to make the shirt, then he's going to mark up that price by 55% so that he knows how much he's going to sell the shirt for. So for there, we're going to set up, again, our part is X. That's the value that's missing. That's going to represent the amount of money that he's going to mark it up by. The whole is what his original cost was for the shirt, which was $18. The percent is the 55% that he's going to mark the price up by. So then we're going to set it up as a cross product, or as a proportion, and use our cross product to solve. So we have X over 18 is equal to 55 over the 100. We will then do our cross product to solve it. So 100 times X gives us 100X. Then we have 18 times the 55. That's going to give us 990. We would then go ahead and divide both sides by 100 and get that X is going to equal to $9.90. That's how much he's going to mark it up. That is his markup amount. So what do we do with that markup amount? Adonai?
Add it to the 18.
Add it to the 18. We want to know how much is he going to sell it for. This is not what he's selling it for. This is his profit. This is how much he's going to make off of the shirt. That's his profit. But in order for him to make the profit, he's got to add that onto the original cost and then sell the shirt. So we're going to then take that $18 and we are going to add the $9.90, and that's what he's going to sell it for. He's going to sell it for $27.90. That's what he's going to sell. Okay? $27.90. Now, if he sells 12 shirts, how much money is he going to make after the cost? So remember, he doesn't make $27.90, does he? What does he make off the shirt? He makes $9.90 off of it. So if he sells 12 of them, how much money is he going to make? So we need to multiply. We're going to take the markup. We're going to take that markup of $9.90 and we're going to go ahead and multiply it by the number of shirts. So we're going to multiply that by the 12, and he's going to make a profit, a total profit of $118.80. All right, Janet has $148.62 worth of groceries in her cart. She has a Publix coupon that will take 15% off. So how much is she going to spend on her groceries? We need to round to the nearest penny. Remember, nearest penny means 2 decimal places. Nearest penny means 2 decimal places. That's the nearest hundredth. Hundredth is what we're talking about. Okay, so when we set this up, we set it up as part, which is your X. That's going to represent your money version for your discount. You've got your whole, which is how much she's got so far. That's her subtotal on the groceries so far, which is $148.62. Then you've got your percent. She's taking 15% off. So we're going to do X over 148.62. Make sure you guys are copying this down. Is equal to 15 over 100. You'll do your cross product. You get 100x is equal to $2,229.30, and then you would divide. So now here's the thing, since we're talking about money, it has to be rounded to that nearest hundredth. So when we do our division here, we're going to get $22.2930, right? That's what we're going to get. But the 9 is that hundredth place value. So we're going to look at the 3, and the 3, remember, if it's 4 or below, we let it go. 5 or above, we give it a shove. Okay, so are we going to let this go or give it a shove? Let it go. The 3 tells us to let it go. So this is going to be $22.29 as our discount. So what do we do with that discount, guys? What do we do with the discount now? Subtract. We're going to subtract. So we're going to take her original cost of $148.62, and we are going to subtract the discount of $22.29. So her final cost for her groceries is going to be $126.33. That's her final cost. Okay? $126.33 for her final cost. Load it into Google Classroom. You've got iExcel.